Hello，你好，Welcome back，欢迎回来to Wisdom Wednesday with Johnny Tiger. The date is June 18, 2025, and we are coming to the end of our Chinese Underworld Afterlife 地狱 series. We've been talking about the various bureaucracies and characters in the afterlife, such as a black and white ghost, 黑白无常, the 地藏王菩萨, the earth store Buddha, and the king Yama, the Yanwang, the kings of the underworld. Uh, we also briefly mentioned the Gui Wang, the ghost king, uh, who is basically in charge of guarding the entrance of the underworld. Now, the Ghost King is one of the 10 generals or the 10 um, police of the underworld, alongside with 黑白无常, the black and white ghost, who basically are the Grim Reapers in the Chinese mythos. But like I said, there's actually 10 of these guys, and while we are not going to touch upon all of them because that's going to get a bit repetitive because most of them serve about the same function, they are basically all led by Gui Wang, the Ghost King. So he is the chief of police. We can put it that way. Um, and alongside with the black and white ghost, there's also two more of these guys that very commonly seen in Chinese mythology and Chinese temples, Buddhist temples and Taoist temples. And we'll touch upon them today because they actually do have kind of a convoluted origins. If you have been to Buddhist temples and Taoist temples, and you look at the King Yama, Yan Luo Wang, and you pay attention to some of the portrayals of the characters in the underworld, you would no doubt to have seen one guy with the head of either an ox or a bull, basically the same thing. Uh, the guy with the head of an ox or a bull, and then he's usually paired with a skinnier guy, a taller, skinnier guy, who's got the head of a horse. Now these guys are just simply known as 牛头, means ox head or bull head, or 马面. 马面 means horse face. So 牛头马面, ox head, horse face. These are two more of our underworld police force. They serve very similar function to 黑白无常, the black and white Grim Reapers, in that they are usually sent out to lead departed souls back to the underworld. They go out there and capture ghosts that cause mayhem in the human world and drag them back, kicking and screaming. They are sometimes tasked as with torture. They have to carry out to punish the people that have to be punished in various levels of hell. So, for example, in the level where people have to be boiled alive in giant pots, sometimes you see the 牛头马面, the ox head and horse face guy with pitchforks, and they basically get these giant pitchfork and they capture the condemned ghost spirits on these pitchforks and then push them into the boiling pot and like hot pot style. Yeah, ouch. No, it's not very nice. But keep in mind, most these people are not being punished for no reason. These people usually have committed horrific kind of crime in life for them to get this kind of treatment in the underworld. So who were牛头马面? How did they came to be? What was their origin? Well, honestly, their origin is shrouded in mystery because, well, number one is they they're not super important characters in the underworld. So a lot of time people don't bother writing down clear and concise origin for where they came to be. So the tale I'm going to tell you today came from hours and hours of deep research and digging and puzzling together different parts of Chinese mythology, Hinduism, and all that stuff. So our tale go back to thousands and thousands of years before um, Buddha, before Jade Emperor. Back then, when Chinese people were more split up into different villages and they worshiped different totems, there was a god called Ma Wangye. Ma Wangye was the god that governed all the horses in the human world. So he's the god of horses. And you don't see Ma Wangye temple much anymore nowadays. But if you go to northern China, there are still some places where you will see uh, preservation on the old Ma Wangye temples. So Ma Wangye was the god of horses. So the story goes that Ma Wangye was looking down at his massive herd of horses, and he spotted this little white foal. There's a little white horse, and he fell in love with that horse. He said, "Wow, that is a very special horse. I want this horse to be special and work for me, and not just a regular everyday horse." So Ma Wangye brought this little horse to him and transformed this little horse into a demigod. And he turned into a demigod with the head of a horse and a body of a man. And that was the original Ma Mian, the original horse face. So Ma Mian spent the next thousands of years carrying messages for Ma Wangye, getting him ready for social functions and bringing him food, and basically just like a servant and underlings and left and right hand for Ma Wangye, the god of all horses. A little ways across from the Ma Wangye temple, there was another temple, and this was the temple of Niu Wangye. Niu Wangye was, some say he was from the Hindu mythology. He was a deity that was in charge of all the cattle and oxen and uh, bull, cows, calves, and so his temple was a little ways across from Ma Wangye's temple. So Niu Wangye, after seeing what Ma Wangye has done, creating a helper for himself, Niu Wangye said, "Hey, that's not a bad idea. Uh, I I wouldn't mind having a little helper for myself too." And just at that time, there was an ox who passed away after spending his whole life helping out human, uh, tilling the field, moving cart, and basically this ox died after having a long and hard working life. And when the ox's spirit came to see Niu Wangye, the deity of all cattle, Niu Wangye said, "Well, how would you like to work for me? You did such good work for your human masters. How would you like to work for me?" And the ox said, "Well, yeah, sure. I mean, I worked my whole life and I really don't know what to do with myself now that I'm done with that, now that I'm retired. Sure, I can work for you." So Niu Wangye transformed the ox into an ox-headed human demigod called牛头. So for the next thousands of years, Ma Mian, the horse-faced demigod, served Ma Wangye, and Niutou, the ox-headed or bull-headed demigod, served Niu Wangye. And since their temples were just across the way from each other, these two constantly cross paths. Okay, so these two constantly run into each other, and they became the best of friends, the best of the brothers, and uh, really, really good friends. Uh, Niutou, the ox-headed demigod, was honest, stubborn, hardworking, and very set in his way. He's very honest. He's very down to earth. While Ma Mian, the horse-faced demigod, was quick-witted, funny, sarcastic, humorous, and was very clever. And things kind of stayed that way for a couple thousand years. They just did their godly duties, run messages for their respective gods, and do their daily, go through their daily routine until one day, uh, Niu Wangye, the god of all cattle, called Niutou, the ox-headed demigod, to his side, and he said, "Hey, the time has come. Your service is done. I'm I can't keep you forever. I'm going to reward you by allowing you to reincarnate, and you're not going to be an ox anymore. You're going to reincarnate into a human, which is the best reward I can give you." So Niutou reincarnated and went on his way. And that made Ma Mian, the horse-faced demigod, very sad because that was his best friend. And he was sad that his best friend's gone. So he went to Ma Wangye, the god of all horses, and said, "I have served you for many, many, many years, thousands of years. Uh, Now that my best friend is gone, my best friend Niutou has reincarnated, I would like to go with him. I would like to reincarnate too. So please release me from your service and let me go." And Ma Wangye said, "Yeah, yeah, sure. You served me really, really well. You've been a great help around here. So I'm going to not only will I make you a human, not only will I let you reincarnate into a human, I'll make sure that you reincarnate into a very wealthy family. So go, have fun. Uh, Thank you for your service." So Myoto, the ox head, reincarnated, but he did not get as lucky as Ma Mian. He reincarnated into a really poor family, a farmer's family. And Ma Mian, on the other hand, reincarnated into nobility, and he was like a very rich guy. Somewhere along the line, when they were both growing up as their human reincarnation, their path crossed again, and they became friends. They became good friends, and they studied together. They played together. They obviously neither of them remembered their past life, so they neither of them remembered that they were the demigods Niutou and Ma Mian. Uh, in their human incarnation, the Niutou's name became Niu Dou, and Ma Mian's name became Ma Mian. Right? So very similar to that demigod name. You don't need to memorize that. It's just something I had to memorize for making the video. So Niu Tou became Niu Dou, and Ma Mian became Ma Mian. I know some of you just get going crazy. Like that sounds like the same thing. No, it's not. Chinese the Mandarin language is very tonally important. So mian and mian, even though it's the same syllable, it's totally different. Like mian means face, mian means denial or negativity. Uh, so it's two different, totally different things. So Nyodo and Mamian, now as human, met each other, grew up together, played together, even though Mamian came from a super rich family, Nyodo came from a super poor family. And finally, they got to the point where they were old enough to take the imperial exams. Uh, Back then, if you wanted to make something out of your life, if you wanted to become someone uh, more, then the only way was to pass the imperial exam and work for the emperor. So both of them signed up for the imperial exam. Nyodo was very confident because he has always been hardworking and he studied very hard. He knew there's no way that he wouldn't do well at the exam. Um, Ma Mian, on the other hand, well, he came from a rich family, so he didn't study very hard. He was very often spending his time chasing girls and playing games and having fun, and he didn't really care about studying. So you can imagine how much of a shock it was when the result of the imperial exam was announced, that Ma Mian's name was on the list and Nyodo's name wasn't on the list. The Nyodo was so shocked and angry that he went to ask Ma Mian. He said, hey, bro, what's going on? I don't understand this. You don't ever study. How come your name got on the list and you passed the exam? I study all the time. I know all my poetry. I know all my Confucius and Mencius. I know all my Lao Tzu. I know all my classic uh, literature. How is it that your name's on the list and my name is not on the list? What's going on? What happened? I don't get it. Mamian patted him on the shoulder and said, dude, I'm so sorry. Okay. Uh, I have a friend who worked for the examiner, and he told me that there was only one spot left, and it was going to be you. And so I paid the examiner a lot of money, and so he switched the name on our exam paper. So your exam paper has my name on it. My exam paper has your name on it. So I got in and you didn't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I had to do this. You see, I had to get in because if I didn't, my dad would fucking kill me, right? So you understand. We've been good friends for a long time, and you can try again next year. And next year, you don't even have to study. Next year, I'll pay for you. Next year, I'll do the same thing. I'll pay money and get your name on there next year. No problem. And we'll both work for the emperor, right? Well, Nyodo was so disappointed in the system. He was so disappointed in his friend that his friend would cheat the exams like that, and the examiners would let be bribed like that. His whole worldview shattered. Remember, he's always been an honest guy. He's an honest, hardworking, down to earth guy. Like something like this was beyond his scope of understanding. So, feeling disappointed at the whole world, Nyodo went home that night and killed himself. And after he killed himself, he his spirit went straight down into the underworld and ended up in front of Yanluo Wang, the King Yama, King Yama. And Nyodo said to King Yama, This is bullshit. Basically, this is bullshit. I worked hard my whole life, and I worked hard when I was a demigod, and finally I got my reward to become a human. And then my best friend cheated me out of the imperial exam, and I was so angry I killed myself. This is crazy. Okay, this people like that shouldn't be allowed to exist. It's wrong. And King Yama smiled at Nyodo. He said, "Well, I know you're really pissed off. I know you're really angry at your friend, but don't worry, your friend will be here shortly." And Nyodo said, "What? How? I went home and killed myself. Last I heard he was celebrating his victory and going out for party because he got selected for from the imperial exam. Why is he going to be here?" And just as they were speaking, black and white ghost Hei Bai Wu Chang brought Ma Mian into the underworld court and dumped him in front of King Yama. And Nyodo was still standing there, right? And Nyodo looked at his best friend, and he's like, "Whoa, what happened? How come you're here?" And Mamian was like, "Dude, how come you are here?" And Nyodo said, "Well, when you told me that you bribed the examiner and cheated me out of the exam spot, I was so pissed off at you and at the whole world, I went home and killed myself. That's why I'm here." And mommy said, "Oh, dude, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But hey, I didn't get away with it because someone reported me to the emperor. And so when the emperor found out that I cheated, they had my head chopped off. That's why I'm here." So King Yama looked at these two best friends and he said, "Well, you guys should have enjoyed a good long life. But one of you decided to cheat and got caught and got executed, and the other one couldn't get past uh, being pissed off. The other one was too set in his way. Because honestly, Nyoto, if you just say, okay, this sucks, but I'll try again next year, then everything would be okay. You can still enjoy a long, prosperous life. But you got impulsive and pissed off. You went home and killed yourself. So both of you end up here, while being human was supposed to be your reward from Ma Wangye and Niu Wangye, your respective gods. What am I supposed to do with the two of you? Well, tell you what, you guys did really good work when you worked for your individual gods. I got the reference letters here. You guys really did good work. Um, and I just happen to need two more police officers here in hell to help us handle the lost souls and spirits and all the paperwork. So why don't you two stay here and work for me? I'll make you officers of the afterlife, and you will work alongside Gui Wang, the Ghost King, and the Black and White Ghost, Hei Bai Wu Chang, and you guys can be my uh, police force for the underworld. How's that? And Nyoto said, "No, no, I don't want to work with him. I don't want to work with a guy who cheats." Marmion said, "No, I don't want to work with him. He's so dumb that he rather than waiting for another year, he went home and killed himself. I don't want to work with this idiot." And King Yama said, "No, don't you see? This means you're perfect for each other, right? On your own, each one of you wouldn't amount to much. Mamian, you are too sneaky. You don't like to work hard. You like to cheat the system. And Nyoto, you're too stubborn. You don't think outside the box. So I'm going to pair the two of you together. then this way, Mamian, you can help Nyoto see around the corner, think outside the box, make him a little bit less stubborn. And Nyoto, you can help keep Mamian in his place and help him not cheat the system, help him to play by the rule. I think the two of you would be perfect working as a team. Thus, from that point on, Nyoto and Mamian, the ox-head and horse-face messengers of hell, became uh, official officers in the afterlife, working alongside their colleagues, taking in spirits and punishing the wicked and all that stuff for eternity. Now, what's interesting about this story is that it really reflects our Chinese culture and Chinese tendency of balance, right? Uh, Chinese people don't feel that it should be one way or another. So a lot of people that are not from Asian culture will probably think, well, Niu is a better guy because he's honest. Yeah, but he's stupid. Yeah, he may be hard working, he may be honest, but he doesn't understand that things not always black and white. There's a lot of different ways to do things. Um, I have always said that Chinese culture does not place honesty very high up as a virtue. And this story basically illustrates that, right? In most other cultures, someone who cheats and schemes and plot, like Ma Mian, would not be awarded with a position to be an officer for the underworld. That he would be sent directly to be punished. But in Chinese people's mind, this kind of uh, ability to think around the corner, to find other ways to get things done, to uh, disregard rules written in stone, and be able to see the gray area is a virtue. And as the opposite to Niutou, being stubborn and always set in his way and too honest for his own good, that to Chinese people is not a virtue. So these two end up having to be paired together so they can overcome each other's flaws and make a perfect team. That is something that's very, very uh, interesting and reflective of the Chinese philosophy and Chinese ways of living. I hope that this episode has been entertaining as usual. And don't forget, there is a brand new, totally awesome Johnny Tiger Experience blog. If you guys have not checked it out, go check it out. It's as simple as Johnny Tiger Experience, all one word, all lowercase, .blogspot.com. Johnny Tiger Experience, blogspot.com. Okay? And I will try to do another video tomorrow for Toy Thursday. Uh, but if I don't, don't hate me. Things have been very busy, very chaotic. Energy level is a bit low, but I'll do my best. For now, 谢谢 and 再见。